And would it be fair to say that a lot of these young kids, like this is the dream, right? When I was growing up, it was like, hey, I want to go play in the NBA or play professional sports. People maybe wanted to be like a traditional actor or a musician. It feels like now there's a lot of these kids who are saying like, no, I actually want to be an influencer. Like that is something to aspire to be as a career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like the number one thing a lot of kids aspire to be. I saw some stupid thing that was going around last year of like, oh, in some other country, kids want to be an astronaut. In America, they want to be a YouTuber. And, people share that and they sort of joke about it, which I get. But, if you're a YouTuber, well, one, that's the work that you're seeing modeled every day. When you log on the internet, you're following people that, these that are talking about their job every day. Like, these YouTubers are talking about what it's like to be a YouTuber, how they're making money. They'll give a behind the scenes tour of like, the factory that's developing their merch or things like that. So they're talking about that career in a really detailed way to kids in a way that honestly, a lot of kids don't have any clue what their parents do, but they deeply understand sort of like how an influencer business works. So that's part of it, I think, is why they think it's aspirational. It's the main version of work that they're seeing on the internet every day. And then two, there's a huge amount of autonomy that comes with running your own business. A lot of people mistake wanting to be an influencer with wanting fame. But a lot of these kids, what they want is, they want autonomy and they want to be able to run their own company based off their own interests. So if you can run a small business that's, gets you access to certain events, maybe because, you're involved in some world, I'll use cars as another example. Cause I know this kid, I can't remember his name, but he's on YouTube. He's very into cars, right? Like, in the past, maybe he would have been a car journalist, to be honest, but, he makes all of these really cool driving videos. He gets to test cars before anyone else. He gets to work with all these major car brands. That's a dream job, and you own your income, you set your own hours, you have enormous flexibility. I can't imagine why you would want to do, some entry-level job instead of sort of owning your own thing.
Yeah, it's almost like the barriers to entry are so low because literally, you've got a cell phone in your hand. Can you record a video, post it on one of these platforms? And if you're good at it, all of a sudden you can gain the audience and it goes from there. And another piece that, in conversations I have with people who are trying to understand this stuff, I always say like, this isn't new either, right? I mean, if you look at Oprah, Tony Robbins, like all of these people basically were the influencers before we called them influencers. They just had to do it on different platforms. It took a lot more capital. And that, do most of these younger kids understand that kind of this isn't new? It's just in a new form factor, or are they just so focused on what they're doing that they don't really kind of make the historical connection?
Yeah, I mean, I think Oprah is different because she's more of a traditional celebrity. And so there's all these sort of gatekeepers, right, before getting there. And I don't think that she really owned her own IP and business from the start. Tony Robbins might be a better example. I mean, I think some people in certain careers, right, he's an entrepreneur ultimately. So yeah, I think that what's different is that, it's people building themselves up on these digital platforms and sort of owning their followers. And you're right, that is not new. I mean, it's funny, when I did this story recently on agencies, I was talking to this guy from Abrams, which is a big sort of talent agency, and they were signing MySpace stars back in 2006. So I think it took a while for it to emerge. I mean, I got my start on Tumblr, and there were certainly other people that were very big on Tumblr at the time that I was, that have sort of launched careers from that. But it's more pervasive now. I think, every year kids are more and more sort of on the internet. These social platforms get more power. And so I think that it sort of progressed into mainstream culture in a different way. Just the fact that I have a job covering this stuff, I couldn't get a job. I tried for a long time to write about this stuff full time, and there really wasn't an audience, I would say, until 3 years ago. So, I think it's entering the mainstream in a different way.
Yeah.